Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fireside Chat. I'm Michael Cole. I'm the SVP of Marketing at Everflow. Today, we're going to be talking about driving growth with B2B affiliate partnerships. I think it's going to be a really exciting one because this is a space that's been talked about for a long time, but I think only in the last couple of years have we really been hearing success story after success story of these programs really taking off. So it's going to be really interesting to sort of talk through how you actually do that. And so with that, I'm joined by today's expert, Adam Glazer. Can you do a quick introduction on yourself?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Adam Glazer. I'm the president and founder of Partner Commerce. We are a B2B affiliate marketing agency.
Awesome. And what would you say is sort of like the specialty of Partner Commerce? Like what makes you stand out?
Well, our focus on B2B is really what sets us apart. So I would say what we're hearing from our customers, they're selecting us because of our subject matter expertise, the fact that we have a proven track record in B2B. I mean, we're working with the world's largest brands, including TikTok and Google and Notion and Klaviyo and Dropbox and Zendesk, and we've managed programs for Microsoft and Web.com and Dun & Bradstreet. So really well-known endemic B2B brands, and so we've been able to demonstrate success with. And having worked with brands of that caliber for such a long period of time, we've built a network of partners that is formidable. And we've got tens of thousands, I think upwards of like 50,000 partners that we've activated campaigns with at this point. And so that's something that to our knowledge, nobody else has, and is not something that, you can just replicate overnight. And so it's our subject matter expertise, our experience, the ready to go partnerships that we can quickly activate, and then just generally our approach. So, typical affiliates, I think, you have toolbar and discount and incentive networks, and really for B2B, those types of partners don't make sense. So what we do is we take what we call a modern approach, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about the different segments of partners and what that means, but we're looking for higher quality, partners that are going to really drive incremental referrals. We are a global agency, so it's another differentiator for us. And last, I'll say, is our expertise on, best in class platforms like Everflow.
Well, I thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, I just want to echo, like, it's very hard. There's very few, like, really, like, B2B specialized affiliate management companies that can handle that side and really know how to make that work. So it'll be really exciting to sort of go into the nuts and bolts of making that type of channel work. So before we go into that, sort of, I think it'll really help to sort of like set the frame of like, who are these types of clients that really you're like, if they come in and they meet all of these category requirements, like this is going to be a slam dunk for launching an affiliate program, or at least much more likely, because obviously if it doesn't convert, nothing works. But for the ones that do convert, like what is your ideal like client for launching an affiliate program on the B2B side?
Great question. So, I mean, we work with all types of B2B clients. But there are certain sort of attributes, I think, that lend themselves well and set a program up for success. And so, focusing on that, I would say, it's brands that have an SMB audience, right? And really what I'll call micro SMB. So, where they're targeting sort of 1 to 10 employees. That's where I think a channel like affiliate, a referral-based, performance-based channel can really drawing a distinction from targeting more enterprise brands where it's more of a lead gen model, right? And you're selling to a committee of people, and it's a much longer sale, right? So B2 SMB would be one. Large TAM would be another, right? If we're trying to reach, CTOs at utility companies in the Pacific Northwest, that's a very niche audience, right? But if we can reach basically anyone who, owns or operates a business, a small business globally, right? That's going to give us more opportunity to do more partnerships. So SMB audience, large TAM, and last I'll say is, well, there's a couple more things, but SaaS tends to work really well. So could we do this for service-based businesses, that are not software? Yes, and we have, and we do, and even for some hardware as well, and other types of businesses. But generally speaking, SaaS seems to perform really well, and so we've established a bit of a expertise around that. So large TAM, SMB audience, SaaS-based business, and there's a few more attributes, but those would be the core ones.
Awesome. So like when we sort of combine this together, like a company like Canva would be like a perfect B2B affiliate program, right?
They'd be a great client, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was similar to the ones we're sort of managing now, right? Like Notion, Klaviyo, Canva, Google Workspace. Yeah, fits in well.
Awesome. And where are you personally like most focused right now?
So me personally, we've been fortunate to attract some really good talent. So we've made some strategic hires, very senior people with decades of B2B affiliate experience who are able to really drive client services and run things on it. So I've been fortunate to be able to kind of step out of that day-to-day role, and I'm able to now focus my time on just expanding our book of business, attracting top talent, and doing fun stuff like this, like podcast branding the company, content marketing, just bigger picture branding awareness initiatives.
It's a fun part of growing to get to do different
things. I'm
things.
I'm enjoying this stuff. Yeah.
Cool. And with that, let's hop on to the main questions. So going back to the basics, when you're talking to a potential client, what are you saying is like the real benefits of affiliate marketing versus the other channels they're doing?
Great question. So, I think the key thing that separates affiliate from other paid media is the trust and advocacy of a third party, right? Like you don't get that through paid media, which is essentially just like billboard interruptive advertising that is sponsored, and you don't get that just by hiring more sales professionals. Consumers don't trust business decision makers. Like the majority of decisions and business purchase decisions are made, just like consumer purchases are made, based on recommendations from trusted sources, influencers, key opinion leaders, right? Peers. And so that, I think, is the key thing around any sort of partner marketing. The other thing I think also is there's no saturation point, right? Whereas like paid media kind of saturates at a certain point, and you'll find that, you can maybe get more traffic, but the cost of acquisition is going to skyrocket and be well outside of your allowables. Whereas with partner marketing, you can just sort of keep growing, keep adding more partners, there's more reach, and you have more control over the CAC because it's performance based. Right? Yeah, it's not a marketplace where you're bidding in real time against other. To some extent, it's going to bear what the market will yield, but so there is that. But in paid media, I'm seeing CPCs and CPMs doubling or tripling year over year. I'm not seeing that on the affiliate side.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So, I mean, with all like B2B partnerships, like the whole thing about like trust and authenticity and the whole like nearbound ecosystems was all about like, okay, like add trust to drive potential leads that become customers at a much higher rate, which makes sense. Where what I think is interesting about affiliate is like, okay, like we all agree that trust matters and that's valuable, but like, how do you scale it? Because strategic partnerships are very hard and very personalized a lot of times. So yeah, it's really interesting to say that like affiliate also provides that, but I'm assuming that it's a much faster than say like a 6-month, like large tech partner type relationship.
Yeah, right. This is a scale motion, right? So while we do, I think that, we can support, like most of the companies we work with have, integration or tech partnership teams that are, working with ISVs and helping to develop, integrations with them. But what they don't have, they don't have the ability to support that partner with activating a campaign to generate demand right, from that partner's established base, and they don't have the ability to maybe give them a customer facing incentive that they can distribute. They don't have a way to monetize or reward that partner or track the performance of that partner. So the tech integration team isn't set up to support. So what affiliate can become is a resource to other partner marketing teams, through an organization, and help them. But yes, the types of partners that we're originating and bringing into the program are, not, they're not all strategic partners. They are affiliates, they are publishers, they are influencers, they are member marketplaces, they are, but there's a lot of advocacy that, like, when you show up on, a comparison site, and you're, whether or not somebody even clicks on that listing and buys through that listing, there's still, that impression has value. And what we're seeing also from affiliates, so going back to trust and advocacy, is there's a halo effect from affiliate marketing that that we're seeing lift in response rates to other direct marketing. So if you should see some lift in response rates to your paid search and your paid social, just from doing affiliate marketing, because you're going to be getting millions of impressions from these third parties that are trusted sources who are out there endorsing and advocating your brand.
Yeah, that's super interesting. A really good point, and especially interesting with B2B affiliate, because it's a lot more trust than traditional like e-commerce or lead gen, because it tends to be more of like either thought leadership or
Right.
content. Yeah.
It's not incentive toolbar, discount type lowbrow, affiliates, where a consumer program can build a very, respectable program in terms of volume by working with just a small number of those type of partners. Whereas I think a B2B affiliate program is a much longer tail, higher number of partners, smaller, volume, but the referrals that you're going to get from the types of modern affiliates that we're bringing are, higher quality, higher average contract value, lower churn. Right?
And from your experience with customers, how much of the conversation about like how's the program going, et cetera, like, is it all just like the amount of performance and scale and revenue, or is there a place where they're actually like talking about all the like knock-on effects and sort of like the other things being driven through this campaign, or is it just at the end of the day boiled to like revenue plus scale?
So it depends. I mean, most of the time, the mandate is growth, right? But we have clients who, it's growth, but not at the cost of brand safety or, other things, right? And they also just want to enable partners to sell, and block other brands from working with those partners. And so sometimes there's other goals that are not, purely about driving, trackable referrals, and also with certain types of partners where it may be more about building awareness. So the partner, you don't only have to think of affiliates as promoting a direct buy offer. Affiliates can also promote content, right? And just help sort of move that customer along that journey. Think of like an association or a group would be really good at promoting both, like a direct buy offer, but also like a, more of a thought leadership content piece, or attend this webinar, or right. And that has a lot of, benefit and value too. And so clients are starting to kind of get their arm, understand how to value and monetize those types of earlier funnel events, and make that part of the mandate and the way they measure the success of these programs.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So let's go back a bit to like the sort of the basics, just so people have more context on what a successful program looks like. Can you walk me through sort of like what are the major types of affiliates that promote B2B affiliate programs, and sort of a little bit of like why?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Well, I'd say so. There are many different types of partners that we can help a brand engage with. Sort of obvious ones would be what I call like endemic B2B media partners, right? The business.com, Fit Small Business, right? Technology, like business news advice portals. But they're broadcasting to a broad audience. And then you have niche content publishers, right? So, if you're trying to reach certain verticals, like you're trying to sell to, HVAC suppliers, right? Or HR or, medical, practitioners, right? Like there are publishers who reach those sort of niche audiences. We can help you engage with those. Broadly, you have comparison and review. So for SaaS, like there's a lot of SaaS software comparison review sites. They have listicles, and it's sort of some of these are pay to play. Some can be hybrid of rev share, but also some pay to play just to get on those boards and get reviewed. Then you have networks. So they're Rocked would be a good example of a B2B, a network that has sort of B2B audience and reach. You have media buyers, right? You have affiliates who they'll just go and arbitrage and buy, search, paid social, programmatic, and or even offline TV, radio, connected TV, right? And that can be really effective. You have, like you mentioned before, the brand to brand or strategic type of partnerships that we can support. And then you have other things like, so I would say everything that I just mentioned, and those are more of the classic affiliate, right? But modern affiliate, where our network is really heavy, is with influencers, right? These are subject matter expertise around niche topics, and they've got large social media audiences, and they post about your brand, endorse your brand. There are agencies. So an agency is very different than a publisher who's broadcasting and selling one to many. An agency, and where their business model, right? Fit Small Business, like their business model is affiliate revenue, and they know how, right? But suppose that for one of our clients, they're a CRM platform, and so there's a whole segment of sales pipeline consultants, CRM integration specialists, just business consultants or fractional, CMO, fractional CRO type roles who could come into an organization, a small business, and advise and say, you really need to graduate from using spreadsheets to actually using a proper CRM, and we recommend this platform, and you should sign up. So that person is selling one-to-one or one-to-few, and maybe they're offering some kind of service layer, on top. So they're not reselling, right? Because oftentimes a B2B SaaS brand will have a separate, channel sales program where they're enabling entities that are service providers, but much larger ones that are actually going to implement the software and resell the software. Like they're going to handle the billing, they're going to handle the transaction, they're going to handle the support and the implementation, where there's still a lot of like service providers and consultants and agencies that are touching that customer, but aren't or don't want to or can't do the resell, can't do the billing, aren't going to do a full integration, but are still instrumental in helping that business customer make a purchase decision, and maybe offer some light implementation. And instead of paying them a commission for the lifetime of that customer and comping them on renewals and expansion, you're paying them some reward for, getting a new customer and just getting them to transact. Yeah, so that's agency.
I really like the agency side because it's also that like the affiliate program is just sort of rocket fuel to an agency, because now they can spend way more time winning more clients because they're basically making double the money on it. Like not only do they sell their own services that make them money, but if they're saying like, we're going to set up your program on this CRM, and then they're getting paid by the CRM, now they have more money on that side too. And that way the agency goes from like a small agency, a lot of times like it's peer referral,
Yep.
But once they actually have enough money flowing, then someone can focus on the sales side and selling their services and selling the
Yeah,
platform at the same time. So it's a win.
that's right. And I think, yeah, so it's a new revenue stream for these agencies. Uh, but it's also, they are able to create value. So oftentimes they're looking for things that, so supporting agencies is a little different than supporting a typical, media publisher, right? Like the agencies are going to probably may want some kind of badging or certification, something they can go out and say, I am certified by this brand, right? And that helps them sell their services. They might want some sort of customer facing discount that they can give to create value for the customer. So sometimes like they'll almost say to us, hey, we're willing to give up our commission, but we want you to pass that through to the customer so we can incentivize them to then buy this application so that we can then sell in our service on top of that. So, they need to be supported differently than, your typical media publisher. So that's why like influencers and agencies, we kind of put in this modern affiliate bucket. And then you've got other types of segments, that also fall under that. So startups would be another area where there's a lot of communities that reach companies that have received like Series A, Series B, that have gotten like maybe less than 10 million in financing, but they're still startups. Like they're capitalized, but they're pre-revenue, and you know, but these are the next major companies, and so everyone kind of wants to get into them. And how do you get into the 500 startups and Y Combinator, and how do you get your software to be included, in that, and supporting those types of communities. Again, also like rev share, not quite as important. What is important is, well, that's the experience and subject matter expertise that we have. That if you want to break into something like that, we can help you do that, and we know how to uniquely sort of design your program for that segment. And same thing for agencies, and same thing for influencers, as well as just all the endemic B2B, traditional sort of partners.
Awesome. And can we go back a little bit to influencers, and can you
Yeah.
walk through sort of like what are like the biggest social channels for those influencers, and like what do those influencers really look like a lot of times? And obviously it's totally dependent on the program, so more like
Of course. Well, I think so. LinkedIn, naturally, YouTube, less so, Facebook, Instagram, but I think it's still, I think those social networks still work as well. So, but more it's LinkedIn, YouTube, X, right? Influencers broadly, I would say there are macro influencers and micro influencers, right? A macro influencer, basically someone that has a very large following, right? 1 million SMBs, and they're probably going to want some big upfront flat fee for content generation. It's probably going to be part of a campaign, where they're going to be creating content and around it, and there's going to be a series of drops. And the micro influencers are much smaller audiences, but more niche. So it might be, again, let's use the example of a CRM client where there are going to be CRM solution providers that have big audiences, right? Or maybe like a digital marketing or sales person who's advising lots of small businesses on how to scale your sales operation, and they might have 1 million followers, right? But then you're going to have like much more niche influencers. So maybe it's around a vertical that you're targeting. I'll give an example of, like, let's say we have a CRM that's targeting kind of retail brick and mortar service providers like chimney cleaners and landscapers, right? There are going to be subject matter expertise influencers in each of those verticals. So like in HVAC, there's someone like a Grant Cardone or something like that. I don't know what who the equivalent of that is for landscaping and other verticals, but we would try to find those micro info, and they might be more apt to engage with you on a pure performance basis. But the idea is the same, that they're creating some sort of content, some posts, some endorsement, and they're sharing that through their social networks.
And so let's say a client wants to do a B2B affiliate program that is specifically for micro influencers. Like, what kind of budget would you recommend for them to basically earmark for this to have a chance to make micro influencer work?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, again, we're going to try to scale this on a performance basis, but reality is that a lot of these are going to want some sort of payment per post. It's all over the board. It really depends on, the client and the region and a lot of the factors. But if I had to, just pull a number, sort of ballpark, one size fits all, I'd say probably about $1,000 a post, ballpark.
Yeah, I've been seeing numbers all over the place, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, micro we're talking, right? For macro,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna be a lot more, 10,000, 20,000. And
It
again,
totally
you can
depends on the,
size these things, and we try to uh, size the opportunities.
and completely depends on the agency and how they're making their money.
Yeah, what you mean, like us as the agency, or agency in the
Oh,
context of
I've
like?
just seen some quotes from other companies on like doing an influencer thing, and some of them are like asking for a lot for like small micro influencers, and I always wonder how much are they actually paying out on that
Oh
sort of
yeah,
yeah.
I'll say one thing that we try to do is a lot of agencies, I find, they price their services. There's this retainer component, but then there's like a performance incentive. And the performance incentive seems to be pegged to affiliate spend,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that makes sense because it's easy and it's just you can calculate it and it's transparent. But you're really creating an incentive for your agency to just pay the affiliates the most amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
and that's you want your agency to negotiate the best possible deal on your behalf. So we try to be flexible and align our performance incentive to whatever you know business outcomes the client wants. So if it's revenue or new customer growth or achieving a certain CAC, we try to align and peg it to those metrics so that our like we want to be incentivized to not only get you scale but also negotiate the best possible deal for you with partners. And so I think that's important, because otherwise, I mean, if you're, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, they're gonna. What incentive do they have to negotiate with that partner? They're just gonna come back and be like, "We need $10,000 for this $1,000 for a post that you really should be paying $1,000 for." And they have an incentive to jack that up.
Yep, and especially with things like influencers, where like what is normal is whatever you say it is.
Whatever, right? Yeah.
You really have to have trust in that situation, and also like it's a good thing about like a performance agency in terms of like someone who focuses on like more performance marketing channels. It's not your job, and like you have many ways to make money. You don't need to try to extract a cut out of it.
And that's why it's important to work with an agency who has that kind of experience, because you need someone to guide you on what is industry standard and when is it worth. Like, how do you go about evaluating whether this influencer is worth $1,000 or $5,000? And there are some standards, there are some best practices, there are some way to size these opportunities and know that what you're going into. I mean, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but certainly we can weed out ones that we have low confidence in and ones that we have more high confidence in, and create a business case and have a calculator for how we sort of assess these opportunities. And that's so the I think the agency that has that experience and takes that kind of like strategic sort of data driven approach is the type of agency that you want to work with.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, taking that out. Cool. And then for like making this channel successful, sort of like what do you see are like the common pitfalls that bring down some B2B affiliate programs, or like the things that you need to fix first to make it work?
Well, I think the tracking and attribution is harder in a beat because usually it's a more complex buying journey, right? And oftentimes depending on like if you have a free trial or a freemium kind of, flow, um, you're going to want, and you have a customer that's paying on a subscription basis. So, right, you don't know if that customer is going to churn, right? You don't know if they're going to continue to add more seats and what the LTV of that customer. You can have a prediction of it, but you don't know, right? And so, in a performance marketing world, the affiliates want to get paid for delivering the action. They got you the customer. The customer signed up. I want to get paid, and there's a high sort of there's a CAC to paying for that customer, and when you're paying someone an upfront CAC for a customer that needs to sort of age out, right? And like a normal, like, and with a high LTV, there's some risk there. And so that's an inherent sort of challenge to doing performance-based marketing for B2B SaaS. And we have some strategies for how we mitigate that risk. Yeah, I mean, that I would say, but the other pitfalls that we see, like under resourcing the account, right? Like I think a lot of times clients have a perception, brands have a perception that affiliate is sort of plug and play. That, okay, we have Airflow, we've got partner commerce now. It should just be like partners are just going to sign up and we don't have to sort of actively manage these partners, or maybe we don't need an agency. We just need access to a marketplace. But you really need to, like, it's partnership development. You need to actively manage these partners and develop campaigns with the partners. Not being flexible with the commission structure. So only working with partners on a performance basis. We're only going to pay on a rev share over the course of 12 months. We're never going to pay an upfront CPA, or never pay a CPL, or never pay a flat fee per post. You're going to eliminate yourself from engaging with lots of great opportunities, or not taking the time to plan the channel. So, saying, okay, let's just go and start working with agencies, but not taking a step back and saying, well, what do agencies need to be successful? Do they need badging? Do they need certifications? Do they need a customer facing discount? Do they need co-branding? Are they, and if you don't think through those motions and how you're going to scale those things, then what's going to happen is you're going to bottleneck, and deals aren't going to get done, and it's going to fail. So under resourcing the account, not being flexible commission structure, not taking time to plan, and maybe I'll add also, like with B2B, I think something that's sort of unique is like getting alignment with other teams, right? So, right, in the context of, like, let's go back to the CRM client that I had, like, they have a channel sales team and they have a PR team who's working with macro influencers. And so, like, some of affiliate overlaps with that and some of it overlaps with these. So understanding like what the swim lanes are and what the SLAs and processes are, and how we're going to communicate to customers about, all these channels, and just getting executive buy-in on all of this and support behind it. Like, I think that's common to, any, not just B2B, but B2C. But yeah, I mean, I would say those are the pitfalls to avoid.
Yeah, those are an excellent rundown of things to watch out for. And to go back to one of those with compensation strategy, sort of like, how do you think about recommending a starting compensation for a program, or how they should think about it?
Yeah, we look at it as a spectrum. And so, you're going to have a public facing offer, right? And that public facing offer needs to be one, just like, you're going to do some competitive analysis, right? You're going to find out, here's what my competitors are offering. And so you got to come up with something that is competitive and that you can scream from the rooftops, right? But also is not your best offer, right? And so usually you're putting forward like a percentage of first year revenue as your sort of default offer. But in your back pocket, you have, offers that, that, when a opportunity meets certain criteria, we will consider paying out on a CPA, right? Or paying out on a CPL. And here's what the elasticity needs to look like. Like, what we try to do is engineer it so that the affiliate will actually earn the most on a normalized basis if they take more risk. So if the affiliate takes the rev share over year one, they'll earn more net than they would if they took a CPL. So we should know, like, the client's sort of average, like, funnel response rates, and know that we're paying out a low enough CPL that it should back out to a, average CAC that is lower than the average CAC that we would be paying to the partner on a rev share basis, right? And so there's that natural sort of, incentive for the partner to take that risk. And to the extent you want the partner wants the brand to take more risk, so we're paying out on a CPL or something earlier in that funnel, then you're going to accept less comp, right? And we can also use gamification and tiering as other ways to incentivize scale, but we try to methodologically approach planning that commission structure. So we're, and it's looking at a number of variants, looking at competitive landscape, looking at understanding just your unit economics, using some game theory, but we want to make it flexible enough that we can activate partnerships, in the most flexible ways. Maybe there's a hybrid, and understanding also the negotiating parameters. So like when we're approaching a negotiation with a partner, this is our starting point. Here's what we can negotiate to, and here's what we can give, and making sure, like, going back to pitfalls, right? Like sometimes when we work with a brand, they want to be hyper involved in that process, and it's sort of like, just bring us opportunities and we'll tell you what we can do, and that's fine. We'll work that way, but it's better if you can empower us to negotiate. So we can kind of align with you on what those negotiating parameters are. Then what we can do is we can weed out all the opportunities that are falling outside of those parameters, and only surface the ones to you that are within those parameters, right? Just save us all time and cycles and allow us to just move faster and scale faster.
Yeah, definitely. Like making sure you don't become the bottleneck, and also provide enough guardrails that the agency can be successful. That's a really good point.
Yeah. We want to partner with our clients, right? We want to be like an embedded part of your team. And, that's how we work best and can add the most value.
And just to go back to the compensation, I think the other thing that's it's always good to just remind people that, like, when we're talking about affiliate programs, regardless of any type of affiliate program, like, you always start with competitor analysis, because the affiliates that are going to be best in your program, of like the traditional affiliates, guess what? They also promote all your competitors. And if say that you're a auto insurance company, and this affiliate is like making $1 million with your competitor in auto insurance, they know that space really well, and they would love to promote every other auto insurance offer.
All right.
That pays equivalent. So you always want to be like, right, your best affiliates in that side are the people that already promote your competitors. So your payout structure has to look comparable to your competitors for them to actually like be willing to take on the risk to test it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And, in some cases too, like even, especially like the comparison sites, because, they're probably already getting traffic from your brand, right? Like you give the example of auto insurance. I'm sure there are comparison sites for auto insurance out there that, are ranking for, whatever, Chubb auto insurance, right? And Chubb doesn't want to pay that partner for that traffic. Well, what they're going to do is just put a barrier on that page, and then all the leads that come in from customers who are interested in Chubb are going to end up going to Allstate. And so it's almost worth it just to prevent the traffic from going to your competitor, but yeah, I mean, I think there's like a proactive, like sort of like offensive affiliate marketing. There's also like defensive affiliate marketing.
Yeah, we've been seeing that also with all of these sort of like content aggregator affiliates that basically get, like, they have relationships with all the blogs, all the content sites, and they can insert affiliate like links inside of there to help monetize those publications. And one of the very interesting things is that this is sort of like the foundation of publications now. So even PR companies will be like, hey, if you don't have an affiliate program and the ability to pay these publications for placements, like, the publications are just going to say no to our attempts to run a article or press piece on you. And it's not that the publication doesn't, it's not that they care that much. It's just they put a ground rule, which is like there's no reason for them to even consider something where there isn't at least some monetization there. And so they just say no to all the PR companies without it. So it's just like these are sort of like the foundational things where having these programs in place becomes critical for your opportunities to actually like scale.
Yeah. Indeed.
Cool. So hopping on to other things, like for measuring the success in a B2B affiliate program, like how do you think about that, and how do you recommend to your clients when you're talking to them and you're sort of setting expectations of like a year from now, what are you going to be looking at to see how it's gone?
Right. Well, so I think it's just first, one of the first things we do during like a discovery, process with a new client is just understand the unit economics of their business and the KPIs. What is the North Star? Like, how do they measure success? And usually these are metrics that aren't standard sort of affiliate marketing. They're not just CPA, right? It's average contract value, ARR, new ARR expansion, churn, CAC to LTV ratios, right? And so it's making sure that we are really clear on what the sort of leading indicators and what the North Star KPIs are, and then making sure that we can tie that stuff to the front end metrics of the campaign. So can we see those metrics by partner group, trended over time, so that we're able to actually like close the loop between their back end and our front end of the campaign, and actually optimize and scale. And that's where technology, becomes super important, right? So platforms like Everflow enable us to see those metrics and action on those metrics. And so it's just having the right planning in place, with the client, and alignment on what the right metrics of success are and how to read that. And then, having a tool that's integrated with your back-end billing platforms and things like that, so we can actually see that data and action on it.
Yeah, those are all good points. And also it's funny that I also explain this a lot to like our marketing team and our partnership team about like you have to know like SaaS metrics and what leadership cares about in your own company.
Right.
Because if you can't speak the language to your reports and your managers like that, you're never going to be successful. And I'm sure like that's super important as an agency to have like whoever you're working with at the company, if they can't report why the affiliate program is such a success and how much like halo effect is creating all this impact, like it doesn't matter how successful you are, like you can still get cut randomly.
Or if the goalpost keeps moving, like we need to know what success means. Like, what is a good CAC to LTV, and what is a good, average contract value? And if the brand doesn't know the answer to those questions, well, then it's really hard, because like what's going to happen is you're going to get 6 months into it and you're going to say, how's it performing? And you don't have a benchmark against which to say, is it good or bad? No. And so there have to be some, at least, and even if you don't, let's say, it's a new company and they don't have history, so maybe they don't know their LTV, there has to be some assumptions, made. And so at least you're then, maybe then the objective of the channel is to get that benchmark, right? But yeah, I mean, it's you need to have alignment on those things. Otherwise, it's just, you don't have a yardstick against which to measure. You're going to try to show like, is this successful or not? And, it depends on someone's subjective opinion at that time.
Yeah, those are all excellent points. And just, it's very important to understand it. And it's very, like, it's always, we see this a lot with just even like B2B partnerships. Just like we would talk to B2B partner like hires and they'd be like, I destroyed all my metrics and I got fired. And it's because like you have to speak the right language and you have to be reporting to the right people. And it's very important that you make sure that your affiliate program is being seen by the right people at your company and they understand how much it truly matters, regardless of the type of affiliate program.
Yeah. And I'll say also on measurement, I think, attribution, being able to make sure that, especially with the partners like influencers, for instance, who may be introducing customers into a journey, but there may be other partners that or other media sources that are interacting with that customer, and on an attributed basis, maybe like on paper look like they're winning the credit for referring those customers, when in fact it was really the influencer who, if but for that influencer, they really, but so it's making sure that you're not undervaluing important interactions in that funnel, and that you're not overvaluing other ones, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, when performance marketing really key. um yeah, I mean, and again, that's where like technology is super helpful, and being able to kind of like shine a light and illuminate those things that we can. And then where the agency comes into play is helping you interpret that and make the right decisions based on it.
Yeah, I think the last thing on that too is just it's also not just looking at customers, but looking at what happens after that. Because what we see is, especially like any of these partners that actually confer trust on that buying decision, those customers
Yeah.
don't look like paid ad customers. Like they upgrade way more often, they renew much longer. And so any metrics you can get post customer also help tell a really good story about like why even these like low volume sort of like content publishers and influencers are so important, because it's just that every customer they drive is ultimately like 2 or 3 times the value of your other channels. So you want as many.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So like, even if, let's say the contribution of new customers is lower than the contribution from other channels, but the ARR is higher, right? That, you know, that's key, right? Likewise, like with one of our clients where, the affiliate channel is driving percentage wise, like maybe, 5% of their overall new customer acquisition, but the CAC from affiliate is so efficient that it allows them to bring down the overall CAC for their whole marketing acquisition portfolio. And so from an efficiency perspective, it's really valuable. And so, again, it goes back to just sort of what are those like North Star metrics, and how are you measuring the success of your business, and making sure that affiliate is not, is being recognized for its contribution across all of those different measures, right? So new customer acquisition, ARR, and efficiency as well.
Cool. And to wrap up our conversation, which has been fantastic, it would be great to go through like an example or two, sort of like B2B affiliate programs that you've seen a lot of success scaling, and sort of like example one or two, and just sort of like what was like sort of a takeaway or a thing that you thought was really
Yeah.
interesting from the success.
Well, um, excuse me. I think so. As far as like a sort of a one bullet case study, I mean, we worked with a major Fortune 10 brand. This is a huge brand, many billions and billions of dollars of sales worldwide. The affiliate channel, we stood it up net new. It grew to about 10% of all sales from direct marketing acquisition worldwide, which, while it's a small percentage of their portfolio, it's a small percentage of a very large number. And again, the efficiency was so good, like it was like 3x, stronger ROAS than other marketing channels. So it helps them sort of manage the efficiency of their whole marketing portfolio. We have another client who also well-known SaaS brand, started a global program focusing on a modern partner approach, influencers, agencies, that sort of thing. It became a profitable channel very quickly within 3 months. And it's a much higher volume of new ARR on average per customer, and higher, stronger LTV CAC ratio than other channels, including even their reseller channel. So, yeah, I mean, those would be two good examples of, we were able to like get scale very quickly, get efficient very quickly. Affiliate became on par with their paid media, certainly more efficient, but on par in terms of volume. And we've done that over and over again for major brands.
Yeah, the growing to 10% of sales for like billions and billions of dollars in revenue is like, that's very amazing, but also it's a good reminder if like this is it's like an untapped channel where it's like you're just sort of missing out if you're not building it at the right time. And a company that big could have built it a long time ago, and how much missed opportunity they have because they didn't focus on it sooner.
And for them, it was a smaller, but they have a very robust, like organic, search and direct presence. But for a smaller company that maybe is doing, 500 million in revenue, I mean, affiliate could be 20-30% of your marketing acquisition, right? So 10% is just for that. That's a major, FANG brand,
Yeah.
FANG being like, but for, your sort of like mid-market, B2B SaaS brands, I think maybe much higher percentage than that. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like anyone would
10% is good.
For 10%.
10% is good. Yeah. Well, we see like it depends. Like some clients we work with, like they basically, it's interesting. We worked with one brand who they took like an incubation approach to new channels, right? So they would invest very little in like a new channel, and it had to get to like a certain threshold. It had to become like 10% of sales to get out of incubation. You don't get like real funding until it got to that point. And so I don't know, 10% to me would be like, that would be a successful like new channel. But for other clients we've seen, like, I guess that was like sort of the minimum required to get out of incubation. But yeah, back of the napkin, I mean, I think the sort of general industry accepted standards, I feel it should be somewhere around 20% of your, direct marketing acquisition sales, within 1 to 2 years. But it could be much more, or in the case of like a big, large brand, might be less, but still be a substantial channel.
I mean, no matter what, that's moving the needle in a massive way for a company when it's so cost effective. Cool. Yeah, and with that, let's sort of get to closing remarks. So thanks again, Adam. Can you sort of walk through sort of if someone wants to learn more about your agency's offering and like who's going to be like a perfect agency or like a perfect client for your agency?
Yeah.
Just sort of like any takeaways?
Well, I think, we kind of went through, what some of the, we want to talk to everybody. So reach out, you can find me partnercommerce.com, find me on LinkedIn, search my name, Adam Glazer, company is Partner Commerce. Reach out to Michael, he'll put you in touch with me. But yeah, LinkedIn or the web, I mean, anyway, just Google my name or our name, you'll find your way to us. But give us a shout. We'd love to chat and explore opportunities together. And thanks for having me on, Michael. I really appreciate it. This is a great conversation.
Yeah, it's always wonderful having a conversation with you, Adam.
Likewise,
my friend. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.